You're listening to the Baumbastic Podcast with Andrew Ellis on Inside Arkansas.
And what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Baumbastic Podcast presented by Inside Arkansas and hosted by Andrew Ellis. I'm coming to you after Game 2 of Arkansas' series against Charlotte, the 49ers. The Razorbacks have secured a win in the series after a chaotic win in Game 1 on Friday. They get an 8-5 win in Game 2 on Saturday. Beautiful day at the yard. Could not have been asked for better weather and just vibes. There's a really good crowd out there. This win was a lot less chaotic, but the Razorbacks did have to come from behind in this game. Faced an early 2-0 deficit with Zach Root on the mound. He ended up giving Arkansas a pretty good start, but ultimately Arkansas strung together enough offense, finished with 10 hits. I felt like it was a really well-rounded offensive performance of the Razorbacks at the plate. They ended up getting the 8-5 win, ended up scoring some runs there late. It was pretty back and forth for the first 6-7 innings of action, and then Kahio Aloy's 2-run home run, his 4th of the year, that leads the team. Gave Arkansas the separation they needed. They end up piecing it together with a few arms in the bullpen. So let's jump right into how all of this happened. So again, Zach Root, who's been Arkansas's most consistent starter so far this season through 3 weeks. And again, he was good again today. Charlotte just jumped on him early. They've got 3 big right-handed hitters in the middle of that lineup. I believe it was 3 doubles. The catcher Poteet started it off. And you had Gunderson drives him in with an opposite field double to right field. And then right after that, as soon as Arkansas could catch their breath down 1-0, Noah Furch doubles down the left field line, brings home another run. So it's 2-0. Right off the bat, Root ends up getting around that, the 3 hits in the inning, and limits the damage a little bit because, the day before, Gackle really let it blow up and it ended up getting to a 5-0 deficit in the first. So Arkansas was already off to a better start in Game 2. And the offense went quietly in the first inning. I think they went 1-2-3. And then to start the second inning, Brent Iredale, just a really good piece of hitting for Arkansas, barrels one up right through the left side of the infield, kind of through the shift. Kendall Diggs follows with a really good at-bat. I believe it was in a 2-strike count. Ends up going down and getting a changeup and rips it hard to right field for a base hit. He had a pretty good day at the office, if I do say so myself. Kendall Diggs back in the lineup there at in right field. And then Kahio Aloy. I mean, who other than him? He's been the guy that's swinging the hot stick. Arkansas is going to continue to roll him at DH until he calms down, and it doesn't look like that's happening anytime soon. He hits a double to left field off the wall, just missed his 4th home run of the season, which he eventually got later in this game. 114 miles an hour off the bat. Kahio Aloy jumps all over one. Like I said, hit off the left field wall. That scores Iredale from second base. There was a controversial decision to hold Kendall Diggs as he was coming around third base. He was about halfway down the line. Bobby Wernes throws on the stop sign, and Kendall Diggs, as he's trying to throw on the brakes and get back to third base, slips and falls basically and ends up getting tagged between third base and home. Could he have scored? Maybe, possibly. I don't know. I wasn't too, crazy. I wasn't like too bent out of shape over the decision. I feel like honestly it just needed to come a little bit earlier. But there was one out. You have a runner on third. It's okay if he's there. You can get him in, but getting him tagged out between third and home is tough. So that limits Arkansas's big inning where they had 3 base hits to just the 1 run. So they still carried a deficit until the bottom of the 3rd inning when Charles Davalon reaches with a bunt single to the left side of the infield, just kind of pushed it enough. Pitcher wasn't able to come over and make the plays as a third baseman, had to come crashing in and try and make the play, couldn't get him. So he leads off that inning. I think it was lead off that inning, or maybe 1 out. And then Logan Maxwell homers for the 2nd straight day. This homer went to dead center. And I don't even think it was a fastball, just kind of lifted and launched. I think the official total of it was about 411, but it was right. I mean, just dead central. And that's 2 home runs in 2 days for Logan Maxwell, who hit in 300 back-to-back years at TCU, but didn't hit for a ton of power. Had 5 home runs in 3 collegiate seasons coming to Arkansas. He's had 2 in the last 24 hours now. That's a bat that the Razorbacks have been wanting to get going. Seems like he's finally healthy from whatever hamstring injury was holding him back. So good to see him. I think he went 1 for 4 in this game, so this is his only hit, but it's quite a big one. Gives Arkansas the lead early in the bottom of the 3rd. And then we didn't have any scoring until the top of the 6th, which is when Zach Root, who again had a pretty good day at the office, ends up getting into the 6th inning, issues a leadoff walk. You can see his pitch count getting up there into the mid-90s. You knew he was running out of gas a little bit. He was able to get Arkansas 1 more out, but he leaves the game with a 3-2 lead and a runner on first base that, of course, he is responsible for. Arkansas turns to Tate McGuire, one of 3 right-handed relief pitchers that made an appearance in this game. And the first batter that Tate McGuire faces ends up hitting a 2-run home run to right field. It was a right-handed hitter, and the count was 3-2. He got ahead 0-2 quickly, throws a couple balls and fouls one back, throws a third ball, another foul ball. So the at-bat was kind of dragging out, tries to sneak a fastball by him. I didn't think it was like right over the heart of the plate, maybe just up and elevated, and so the batter was able to get a piece of it. And the wind wasn't blowing super hard today. I didn't think it was going to get out of the park once it left his bat, but had just enough on it. I'd love to see the distance on that. But that gives Charlotte, puts them back out in front 4-3. And then Arkansas answers right away in the bottom of the 6th. So you had Kendall Diggs and Kahio Aloy draw back-to-back walks to start the frame. And then Cam Kojal, I believe it was the first pitch he saw, just goes the other way with it, slaps it through the left side of the infield. They had him shifted like crazy. So that's another base hit. You load the bases with nobody out for Nolan Souza, the bat that Arkansas has been trying to get going. He ends up pulling one of the, I think it might have been first or second pitch he sees, pulls it over to the right side, ends up being a fielder's choice at second base. Of course, Nolan Souza runs pretty well. Going to be pretty hard to double that guy off. So he gets the gets the RBI and kind of keeps the inning going. Arkansas had first and third with 1 out. So maybe not the best result you're looking for, but for a guy that's looking to build some positive momentum at the plate, I'm sure that swing, felt pretty good to do a job, get a run in for his team and tie the game there at 4. And then right after him in the 9-hole, Arkansas's catcher, Ryder Helfrich, plays a little small ball, bunts one kind of between the pitcher and third base. Wasn't a flawless bunt. If he was really trying to bunt his way for a hit, probably wouldn't have got the job done, but it did plenty enough to get that run in from third. I believe that was Kahio Aloy, who comes home and scores on the play. Ryder gets credit for the sacrifice, gets credit for the RBI. Arkansas is right back in front, 5-4. Arkansas tried to go back to Tate McGuire for the top of the 7th inning, and at this point, you're in that mode where you're starting to count outs. He ends up issuing a leadoff walk. DVH wastes no time, goes to Aiden Jimenez, who threw the ball really well. He ends up going 2 innings for Arkansas, doesn't give up a run officially, but he did give up a couple base hits in that 7th inning. Neither were hit particularly hard. I think the first hitter he faced just had an opposite field single against the shift through the right side. And then I think with 2 outs, after he got a couple punch outs, seemed like he was going to get out of the inning there with the runners on first and second, ends up giving a base hit up the middle. Again, I don't think either were like crushed necessarily, but both kind of found a way through. That allows Charlotte to tie the game up with the runner that Tate McGuire left in there. So it goes to Tate McGuire, who I will admit did not have a great day at the office. He ended up getting Arkansas 2 outs, and they were very important outs, but ends up getting charged with 2 runs, 1 on the home run he had, and then 1 on the leadoff walk he issued that eventually came around to score. But I thought Aiden Jimenez threw the ball really well. He ended up striking out the side in that inning, depending on how you view striking out the side. He didn't strike out every hitter he faced, but all 3 outs were strikeouts. And so Charlotte ties the game at 5 there in the top of the 7th. And once again, Arkansas answers right away there in the bottom of the 7th. Vahiva Aloy leads off with a opposite field double in the right field gap. Just a really good piece of hitting. Hit it where it was pitched and hit it hard. And then I believe, can't remember if there was 1 out. Yeah, there would have had to be 1 out. Logan Maxwell grounded out to move Vahiva up to third base with 1 out. Charlotte brings the infield in, and Brent Iredale just goes the other way. Opposite field double right down the first base line. And again, they had to bring the infield in because it was a tie game, runner on third, 1 out. They had to bring the infield in because Logan Maxwell didn't hit the ball hard at all. I think he hit it like 30 feet, but did his job getting that runner over there, kind of forced Charlotte's hand a little bit. Brent Iredale was able to find a hole on a ball that probably wouldn't have found a hole if the infield was playing at their normal depth, but it ends up being 2 doubles for Arkansas's 2 biggest hitters there in the middle of that order. And then right after that, I think Kendall Diggs may have struck out, but then Kahio Aloy goes dead center. I believe it was 414. He didn't hit this one as hard off the bat as his 114-mile-an-hour double. He'll have to settle for a 111-mile-an-hour home run for his 4th of the season so far. So this is probably the longest I've ever gone. But here's the box score there. You see Kahio in the middle going 2 for 3. Drew a walk in this game, which is a huge walk. Ends up coming around to score on that, I believe. Scores 2 runs, drives in 3. Has a double, has a home run. Pretty much everything this dude hits is an extra base hit. Yesterday, he went 2 for 4, and his batting average went down. In this one, he ended up going 2 for 3. So he gets a little bit of a bump from 550 to 565. Really hard to improve your average there. And you see the other guys here. Charles Davalon goes 1 for 5. The Hiva Loy goes 1 for 4 with a double. Maxwell went 1 for 4 with the home run. Brent Iredale had a couple, good pieces of hitting. The single he actually hit a lot harder than the RBI double he had. Kendall Diggs, I thought, swung the bat well, 1 for 3 with 1 walk. Did have a couple of strikeouts. Cam Kojo had a good piece of hitting in one of Arkansas's big innings. Souza continues to struggle, gets that average continues to go down. But he at least had some productive at-bats and hit a couple balls pretty hard today. They had a review to see if he was going to beat out an infield single. So he almost got on the board there, but did not quite. Ryder Helfrich goes 1 for 3 with, of course, he had an opposite field single through the right side, just hit against the shift. There was a lot of that going around at the ballpark today. And then, of course, had the RBI sack bunt. So, honestly, you got productive ABs from everyone in the lineup. You see the numbers down there for the pitchers. Zach Root, he ends up that third run kind of changes the feel of his line a lot. If it were 2 runs, you'd feel really good about it. But, of course, that walk that he issued in the 6th inning ends up coming around to score. So he ends up giving up 3 runs. Definitely his quote unquote worst start of the year, but he still has 8 strikeouts and 5 1/3. And like I said yesterday on yesterday's show, Arkansas really needed that depth from one of their starting pitchers after the kind of hole Gabe Gackle had put them in yesterday. And of course, this is also coming on the heels of Gage Wood getting banged up. So you're down one of your most important arms. I thought what Jimenez did was really important, giving Arkansas 2 innings there, kind of calm the game down. We always look for relievers to do that. Has the 4 strikeouts. I thought it was a really solid effort from Jimenez in his first real high leverage opportunity of the season. That'll definitely earn him a look moving forward. And of course, he gets the win. And then Carson Wiggins, who I did not mention off the top, gets the save in this game. Did a really good job. I mean, looked a lot like the guy we saw on Tuesday, and looked completely different than the guy we saw on Sunday. So that's his 3rd appearance in like 5-6 days there. He better get used to doing that, because that's kind of how he's going to be used in the future, of course. But he looked really good. Velocity was firm. 97-98 is where they had him on the scoreboard gun, and got both of his strikeouts with his big slider. So definitely worth noting. Good to see him landing that pitch. Got a strike, swing and miss on one. Got someone looking on the other. And then I think the other was just a tapper back to him. So really good stuff. Gets all 3 of the guys out that he faced. So good stuff there from Wiggins, who again gives Arkansas another closing option. Let me pull it up again real quick. So he only threw 13 pitches, same as Christian Fouch. And so we'll see if at least one of those guys, potentially both, are available tomorrow. In terms of what Arkansas will have left on the mound tomorrow for Sunday's game 3, nice to have the series kind of in hand already. And you used 3 right-handed arms today. Wiggins, we'll see if maybe they want to experiment with using him back-to-back days. If Arkansas gets there, I'm sure they would like to not. But it seems like he probably could be available just because he didn't have a ton of a workload today. I mentioned Fouch, who threw 13 pitches on Friday. I would almost guarantee Fouch is available if they need him. Coyle also only threw about 25 pitches on Friday. You think he might be available as well. Cole Gibbler is a guy that Arkansas had up in the bullpen for like a full inning there while Jimenez was throwing. I think if they had gotten to a spot where the lineup turned over and that lefty at the leadoff spot for Charlotte would have came up, Arkansas might have gone to Cole Gibbler. Colin Fisher threw on Friday. I don't imagine he will be getting any work. Of course, we have not seen some of the veteran guys like a Will McIntyre, like a Ben Bybee. We'll see if Arkansas ends up going there, but they have some options. Of course, some other freshman guys like a Steele Eves or maybe Tag Andrews or Ross Felder. If you really want to get crazy, or if something, goes off the rails, but basically it sets up pretty well for Arkansas, of course, with Landon Beidle. She's on the bump. We'll see how much length he's able to give Arkansas. Of course, gave Arkansas 2 2/3 out of the bullpen after giving Arkansas 5 innings on opening weekend as a starter. We'll see if he can get back up into that maybe 4, 5, 6 inning range. I think that would be huge. If he's able to do that, Arkansas is in a great spot on the mound. They won't even have to use some of these guys that we just mentioned that have thrown earlier in the weekend. Might not have to bring Coyle back. Might not have to bring Wiggins back after throwing them yesterday. So I think if Arkansas gets in another high leverage situation where there's a chance to close the game, I think you would probably see someone like Christian Fouch. But other than that, they have enough arms to kind of piece it together. And really, I think the most encouraging part about this weekend so far is that Arkansas's offense has showed some respondability, has climbed out of some holes, and gotten clutch hits when they needed to. And I felt like today was probably the most encouraged I've been by the lineup from a 1-9, just competitive at-bat standpoint. One thing I wanted to touch on in this game, so Charlotte has a pitcher, I mentioned coming into the weekend that Charlotte had a couple really good arms. They only used 2 pitchers today. They had their right-handed starter. They have 3 right-handed starters. Their second of their 3 right-handed starters ends up throwing 79 pitches through 4 innings, ends up giving up 6 hits, 3 runs, and so he kind of gave them all they possibly could. Arkansas being able to get his pitch count up there and his workload into the 80 pitch range after 4 innings and do some damage and get some runs on him, I thought was huge. And then they went to their their guy in the bullpen, Joseph Taylor, who came into the weekend with just unreal numbers. He had 18 strikeouts in 9 innings, had not given up a run, had issued some walks, but like really hadn't given up much at all. I think only just a couple hits here or there. So he's been like kind of Charlotte's guy in the bullpen. And like I said, had not given up a run. I think their plan was, let's bring this. Let's just, they had a lead at this point. I think it was in the 6th inning. They were up 4-3. They're like, hey, let's just bring this guy in and we'll see if we can make happen. We'll see how long he can go. He ends up throwing 70 innings across, or 70 pitches across 4 innings, but gives up 4 hits, gives up 5 runs, also walked 3 and only struck out 2. For a guy that entered the weekend with 18 strikeouts in 9 innings, only has 2 strikeouts in 4 innings today. Arkansas did a really good job of fighting him. Because look, we've seen guys in college baseball all the time come into a game in the 4th, 5th, 6th inning. I think it was the 6th inning where this guy came in, or maybe it was at the end of that 5th inning there. I don't remember. I guess it would have been the 5th, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, he came in the 5th inning. We've seen guys, their team has a lead. Kevin Kopps, of course, used to do it a lot, but we've seen guys be multi-inning closers, and that was kind of where Charlotte was at. They don't have a ton of arms they really feel good about. And if he had pitched well, they threw him 70 pitches. If he had thrown well, it was very much in play that he could have closed this game out. So good on Arkansas for not giving him a chance to do that and doing some damage to a really talented arm. I mean, pretty much all the guys that we've seen throw for Charlotte, they haven't mixed it up a ton, have been pretty good arms. Their pitching staff had an ERA of 3.74 coming into the weekend. They had been throwing it pretty well. So to see Arkansas stringing together at-bats in both games, of course, you had the big 10-run inning in game 1. But I feel like 1-9, today was probably the most consistently competitive Arkansas's at-bats have been. Even in the innings they didn't score, they were at least putting some pressure on, fouling off 2 strike pitches, working some walks, taking some close pitches. The zone was kind of all over the place. And trust me, I had a very good vantage point behind home plate. Zone was a little bit iffy today, but I thought both teams, they didn't really favor either. But I felt like Arkansas's hitters did a good job of kind of just fighting up there at the plate. That's what you want to see. You don't want to see these other opposing pitchers get in a rhythm consistently. That's what we've seen so often. And so I thought that was a huge part of today's game, is that Arkansas didn't allow either of the 2 pitchers that Charlotte threw in this game to ever really get in a groove, get in a rhythm where they were just up there getting outs and working quickly. In the stretch a ton of high stress, high leverage innings. And it's really hard to consistently do that with just 2 guys. And Charlotte at this point in the weekend just doesn't have a long list of arms they really trust. So we'll see what they're able to piece together on the mound tomorrow. But I talked through Arkansas's pitching situation. Definitely is a lot better. It's going to happen a lot throughout the year where, games 1 and games 2 will be close, and then we'll get to game 3 and Arkansas will have a decided pitching advantage over their opponent. Still got to go out there and swing the bat. Still got to go out there and get the job done. But things are shaping up pretty well for the Arkansas Razorbacks. They've had to battle in both of these games, but been a lot of encouraging signs, especially from the offensive side of the side of things for the Razorbacks. And so they improved to 9-1 on the young season. We'll see if they can get the sweep tomorrow. We will be back. Probably going to go live. Definitely going to have some type of post-game recap, but I'm definitely considering going live tomorrow after Sunday's finale to do what I'm doing here, just recapping the game. But then, of course, any questions you guys have about the weekend or what you saw, any of your comments, I want to get to those in real time and we can hash it out together. So if you don't have anything going on, be on the lookout. It'll be on this channel. If we end up doing it, it'll be scheduled and it'll show, there's a live stream coming up. So clear your schedule. Be ready to go live tomorrow. Would appreciate any and all questions and any participation in that. But that's all I got for you today. Appreciate you guys for hanging out on another brilliant edition of the Baumbastic Podcast. Let's go for the sweep tomorrow. Have a good one.